Saint Cecilia, Virgin and Martyr, Memorial November 22nd. Saint Cecilia is one of the most beloved and venerated martyrs of the early Church. Revered as the patron saint of sacred music and musicians, her life shines with purity, courage, and joyful devotion to God, her witness. Preserved in the ancient acts of her martyrdom dating back to the early centuries, continues to inspire Christians across the world. Early life and vocation. Saint Cecilia was born into a noble Roman family. Around the 2nd or 3rd century, from her earliest years, she dedicated herself completely to God. She is said to have worn sackcloth beneath her fine clothing, fasted often, and spent much of her time in prayer. Though living in a wealthy household, her heart belonged entirely to Christ. Tradition tells us that Cecilia loved the Lord so deeply that she made a private vow of virginity. She desired to remain wholly consecrated to God even in a society that expected young noble women to marry. Marriage and witness to purity. Despite her vow, Cecilia's parents arranged for her to marry a young pagan nobleman named Valerian. On their wedding night, Cecilia revealed to him the vow she had made and told him that an angel of God watched over her. Moved by her purity and strength, Valerian agreed to respect her vow but asked to see the angel himself. Cecilia instructed him to go to the bishop Pope Urban I, who at that time was living in hiding during persecution. Valerian was baptized, and upon returning home, he saw the angel beside Cecilia just as she had said. Valerian's brother, Tiberius, soon joined them in faith. Together, the two brothers dedicated themselves to charitable works, including burying the bodies of Christian martyrs, a dangerous act during persecution. Martyrdom for the faith, their Christian witness quickly drew the attention of the Roman authorities. Valerian and Tiberius were arrested, tortured, and put to death. Cecilia, instead of fearing, courageously used the opportunity to preach Christ. She was brought before the prefect Almachius, where she bravely proclaimed her faith in Christ with unwavering confidence. Refusing to worship pagan gods, she was condemned to death. The authorities attempted to kill her by suffocating her in the bathhouse of her home, but she miraculously survived. Finally, a soldier was sent to behead her. He struck her 3 times but failed to sever her head completely. Cecilia survived for 3 days, during which she prayed continuously, encouraged the faithful, and distributed her possessions to the poor. On the 3rd day, she peacefully surrendered her soul to God, dying with Christ's name on her lips. Burial and legacy. Cecilia was buried in the catacombs of St. Callistus, the resting place of many early martyrs. Over time, devotion to her grew. In 821, Pope Paschal I transferred her relics to a basilica in Trastevere, Rome, which had been built on the site of her home. Her tomb became a place of pilgrimage and inspiration. In 1599, during the renovation of her basilica, her body was found incorrupt, lying in the same position described in ancient accounts, a testimony to her purity and martyrdom. Saint Cecilia and sacred music. Cecilia is the patroness of musicians and sacred music. This association comes from the tradition that she sang in her heart to the Lord during her wedding feast, praising God in the midst of trials. Over centuries, composers, choirs, and musicians have placed themselves under her protection. Her life reminds us that music, especially sacred music, is a path to God, a form of prayer, and a means of lifting the soul toward heaven. Lessons from the life of Saint Cecilia. 1. Purity of heart. Cecilia belonged wholly to God and kept her heart free for Christ. 2. Courage in witness. She proclaimed Christ boldly in the face of persecution. 3. Evangelizing love. Her purity and faith converted her husband and brother-in-law. Love leads souls to God. 4. Joy in suffering. Even as she faced death, she remained joyful, prayerful, and generous. 5. The power of beauty. Her connection to music reminds us that beauty evangelizes and elevates the human spirit. A question for meditation: do I allow my life, my words, and even my sufferings to proclaim the beauty of Christ as Saint Cecilia did?